Let's jump right in. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking recent food safety policy directives and translating them into a strategic, actionable blueprint. And this is designed specifically for you, government regulators. If you're the one tasked with overseeing and protecting our modern food systems, well, you already know the landscape is shifting under our feet. So our goal today is to dive straight into the source material and build a roadmap. We're going to look at exactly how to leverage public-private engagements to truly safeguard public health.
Here's our quick agenda for today's briefing. We'll hit Section 1, the Modern Regulatory Challenge. Section 2, the Public-Private Solution. Section 3, Blueprints for Collaborative Governance. And wrap up with Section 4, Building Trust and Sustainability. Let's go.
So let's start with the absolute fundamental dilemma that regulators around the globe are facing right now. It's really the defining question of modern governance, isn't it? How in the world do we secure a growing, incredibly complex global food system? I mean, we're talking about a single meal that might contain ingredients from 15 different countries, when public sector resources are stretched thinner than ever. This tension is exactly why our traditional regulatory approaches are literally being forced to adapt.
Section 1, the Modern Regulatory Challenge. Let's quickly validate the reality on the ground for food safety compliance officers.
We are basically caught between a rock and a hard place here. Think about the immense pressures pushing regulators toward new models. We've got increasing regulatory complexity, mounting trade pressures, and really harsh resource constraints in the public sector. But on the flip side, look at the benefits targeted collaboration provides. We're talking about seriously improved regulatory effectiveness, massive cost efficiency, and unlocking enhanced data intelligence that the private sector already has at its fingertips. It's a hugely powerful exchange of capabilities.
Now, I know regulators are naturally risk-averse, and honestly, rightly so. Any shared system absolutely must proactively mitigate critical challenges. The single greatest threat we're looking at here? Regulatory capture. That's when the industry being regulated essentially ends up writing the rules to their own advantage. No way we can let that happen. There are also deep, valid concerns about power imbalances, keeping shared data confidential, and dealing with strict institutional barriers. A successful framework doesn't just ignore these risks, it builds massive walls to contain them.
Moving on to Section 2, the Public-Private Solution. Let's look at how to safely integrate those private sector capabilities into our public health mandates.
At its core, a public-private partnership, or PPP, is absolutely not a surrender of regulatory power. Think of it more as a necessary evolution of that power. By merging government initiatives with private sector innovation, we can build resilient systems capable of handling massive, multi-layered threats. A perfect example from the source material is antimicrobial resistance, or AMR. This crisis is just way too vast for public surveillance to handle all on its own. It requires joint data collection and unified risk assessment to even stand a chance.
The beauty of these partnerships is how adaptable they are. They take on several distinct forms depending on exactly what you need right now. They can be as simple as roundtables for regular policy dialogue, or you can go all the way to rolling up your sleeves in task-specific technical committees, where government and business actually sit side by side to draft rigorous, science-based standards. And crucially, they include direct, everyday cooperation on regulatory practices to organically improve compliance across the whole board. All right, Section 3, Blueprints for Collaborative Governance. Let's see how this all builds into a functional, real-world architecture.
This policy blueprint is a total game changer. It organizes exactly how targeted collaborations drive very specific, measurable regulatory outcomes. Take a look at the alignment between public awareness and consumer empowerment, for instance. By linking government awareness campaigns with corporate social responsibility, like leveraging corporate reach to amplify movements like Eat Right India, you exponentially multiply your public impact without draining a single cent from public coffers. It's brilliant. Similarly, joint research and innovation directly fuels the massive data needed for robust AMR surveillance.
So the crucial point you really need to take away here is that these frameworks aren't just for the massive multinational corporations. Actually, scratch that. They're arguably even more essential for lifting small and medium food businesses, or SMFBs, up to standard. These smaller players usually want to expand, right? They want to reach new domestic or global markets, but they just lack the technical capacity. PPPs swoop in and provide them with the compliance support, technology, and good manufacturing practice training that they simply couldn't access on their own.
Plus, a well-governed partnership acts as an absolute lifeline during a crisis. When a food safety incident hits, the very last thing you want is a scattered, disjointed response. By hashing out public-private response protocols ahead of time, you significantly strengthen supply chain traceability. And you know what that means? Rapid, highly coordinated product recalls, and perhaps most importantly, effective, unified public messaging. With how fast misinformation spreads online these days, having one unified voice is absolutely vital to stop consumer panic in its tracks.
And finally, Section 4, Building Trust and Sustainability. This is all about the ultimate currencies that ensure these partnerships actually survive in the long run.
We literally cannot stress this enough. Successful partnerships depend on way more than just good intentions. As the source material points out, they require clear structures, absolute trust, and sustained commitment from everyone involved. Goodwill? Sure, it's a nice starting point for a chat, but it is definitely not going to protect a regulatory body from conflicts of interest when the stakes are this high.
Building that trust isn't just wishful thinking. It's a very deliberate four-step process. First up, you have to draw absolute jurisdictional boundaries by defining exact roles and responsibilities. Step 2, lock it all down with strong, uncompromising legal frameworks. Step 3 ensures radical transparency and mutual accountability. And finally, Step 4 guarantees that every single action and standard is driven by risk-based, evidence-informed data, completely blocking out arbitrary industry pressure.
When you execute this correctly using the blueprint we've discussed, the entire dynamic shifts. Regulators can finally stop just reacting to daily compliance fires. Instead, you get to become the architects of truly sustainable, long-term public health safeguards, leveraging the full might of the entire food sector to protect the end consumer. That is the ultimate goal here.
I'm going to leave you with this final, crucial thought to evaluate your own jurisdiction's readiness. Are your current legal and institutional frameworks truly ready to support, govern, and extract the maximum public benefit from these essential partnerships? It's a tough question, but it's one every forward-thinking regulator absolutely must answer. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking the hard questions, and let's start building the frameworks of tomorrow.